Okay, the next speaker is Kim Patton, all the way from Tucson, and she's representing the International Dark Sky Association, an international body campaigning also to protect dark skies.
Thank you.
That's what I was just looking
at. Yes, I will need that. Thank you.
Okay.
Now I see what everyone means about the light glowing on them here. So how many of you saw this cover of National Geographic magazine last year, 2008? From what I can tell, it's probably about half? Half? Wonderful. So this was the November 2008 cover of National Geographic magazine, and this is the question that I'd like to pose to all of you this morning, and that is it the end of night? Well, I certainly hope not, but we'll go a little bit through this presentation and see what you all think at the end. What this cover also symbolizes, though, is that our movement is no longer a fringe movement. It is now front and center. Media reports from all over the world come into our alerts programs on a daily basis. We're seeing reports out of Hong Kong covering light pollution. Yesterday we heard a report from Germany talking about light pollution. Like I said, every day we're seeing 5, 6 reports come in from around the world. Pacific Rim, Europe, even Africa and South America are all covering light pollution now. Light pollution is a topic that is being covered. It's important. I wish there were 700 people, 7,000 people here so that we could be talking about this together. So here, of course, is the picture of the Earth at night, one that we saw yesterday. And one of the things that I always like to start with is the question of, well, what is the night? What is the night to you? It's an extension of daylight, of course. We've all participated in all of these activities, gone to the theater, played sports, watched children at a sporting event, walked around downtowns, and enjoyed it because there was light there. The bottom line is that we are diurnal creatures. We like the light. And that is also the issue that we need to be thinking about here as we're talking. This is probably most relevant for the folks in the crowd today. The night's the astronomer's utopia. We love the night. We love to be able to see the night, see the elements of the night. It's also a significant wildlife habitat. Very excited that there's quite a few presentations here that will be discussing a number of these animals. And it's important that we remember them, big and small, because over 50% of our animals are nocturnal, and we need to remember them. And it's important that we also remember that we need the night. Las Vegas, Nevada, known for the 24-hour city life. Anyone been to Las Vegas, enjoyed it until 4 o'clock in the morning? Yes, there we go. At least you're honest. So. Or, this is something this grad student wishes she had more of. A good night's sleep. Everyone enjoys that as well. So the night is all this and more. The importance here that all of us need to remember, and I think most of us in this room do remember, but when we're talking to people, is that the day is really 24 hours long. Many times we look at the day and think of the 12 hours of daylight that we have where we're out and being active. Well, back to the planning issue. We need to plan for all 24 hours. So my next question is, well, what happened to the night? We've heard about the safety and security issue, and I have to thank Bob for giving such a great introduction with the 10 questions about light pollution. Again, we're more comfortable in the light. So when we're talking about safety, people feel safer when there's light. If we were to turn off all the lights in this room right now, how many of you would really feel safe? How many of you would be able to navigate your way down the stairs? We like the light. The more is better concept, extending the day. And then, of course, there's the first generation technology and constraints that we've all faced. The unshielded lights. We've just seen that the light bulb was a very recent invention. We've only been lighting the night for about 100 years. That's, in terms of technology, that's new. The first generation of shielded lights, that's where that misconception of needing more poles with the full cutoff fixtures than the sag lines fixtures came from. The first generation of shielded fixtures was essentially a light bulb with a shield on top of it. It didn't have the internal optics. It had hot spots underneath it. People were required to use more poles, more lights to achieve the same uniformity as they achieved with the sag lens fixtures. Today, there's increased optics within the light fixture. It's really amazing what they can do now. They can get much more of spread, much more uniform spread with fantastic optical controls than they can with a sag lens fixture. And then the bottom line is we just didn't know. Lighting design is complicated. You have to deal with, okay, how much light do you need? What type of light do you need? Are you going to use a high-pressure sodium application fixture, a low-pressure sodium, a white light fixture? Are you going to use a combination? How many of us can answer that, even as dark sky experts? And then again, the lighting design field is a new field. So we just don't know. So in 1958, a young gentleman graduated from the University of Chicago with a degree, PhD actually, in astronomy. After a short stint at Vanderbilt University, he was offered a position at the brand new 4-meter telescope at Kitt Peak Observatory. Fortunately, he moved out there, and you can see, I know it's probably difficult, but this is the view from Kitt Peak to Tucson in 1959. Well, over the years, he eventually became director of Kitt Peak, and he saw an increase in light pollution coming from Tucson. This is a great image from the National Optical Astronomy Observatory in Kitt Peak. So here we have the view in 1980 and the view in 2003. So in the early 80s, he started working with fellow astronomers at Kitt Peak to work with the city and create a lighting ordinance in order to try and stop this spread. Well, as many of you know, that gentleman was Dr. David Crawford, co-founder of the International Dark Sky Association. And many of us can greatly appreciate what he's done for this movement and moving forward. So he worked with a number of amateur astronomers in the region on a particular project. And this project was the retrofitting of the University Medical Center. Here he met Dr. Tim Hunter, who was a radiologist and an amateur astronomer, and they decided that in their search for lighting information, lighting materials, they had a really hard time finding it for professionals, let alone somebody just interested in seeking it. So what did they do? They began local outreach in the community. They worked with the IES. They worked with the CIE. They worked with organizations that did provide professional lighting designers information, and they worked to translate that to the public in the Tucson area. Once they accomplished the ordinance in Tucson, they found that, well, if we're having this issue, maybe other people are having this issue as well. And so, therefore, they kind of started thinking about it and saying, maybe we need to form an organization to help people out with this very problem. Well, this is the 4-meter telescope in 2004, I believe the picture was taken. And as you can see, the night sky is still fairly well protected. One of the key things I would like to say about Tucson is that Tucson currently has a population of 541,000 people. Okay? For comparison, Dublin in 2006 had 505,000 people. Pima County, the county that Tucson's located in, has a population of just over 1 million. Dublin County has 1.8 million. So we're talking roughly the same size. And when you look at a picture of Tucson versus Dublin, Tucson and Pima County versus Dublin area, you'll be able to see just the significance that a good ordinance can do for a night sky. So here's their solution. Provide an organization dedicated to the education of nighttime preservation. Provide access to the works of similar organizations in a collaborative approach. They knew they weren't going to know all the answers. They knew they were going to have to work with people in this room, people that had information, and help them get that information out. And then, of course, to inform everyone everywhere of the issue and provide reasonable solutions. Again, it comes down to those necessary lights that we require. And here's just an evolution of our logo over the years and our mission, which is to preserve and protect the nighttime environment through environmentally responsible outdoor lighting. I'd like to go ahead and quickly go through our vision statement. Our first one is obviously to improve the nighttime environment by reducing light pollution through better lighting practices that provide energy savings resulting in economic benefits. The city of Calgary recently went through a retrofitting process from 2002 to 2005, where they retrofitted over 37,000 streetlights. They are estimating an average savings of $1.7 million a year, and that's dropping the wattage on their collector and residential streets by just 100 watts. So they went from 250 to 150 watts on their collector streets, 200 watts to 100 watts on their residential streets. Ljubljana in Slovenia is showing very promising numbers as well in terms of the retrofitting that's being done there by Dark Sky Slovenia. Superb nighttime ambience and quality of life. Again, necessary lights. We want to be able to go out. We want to be able to enjoy the city nightlife. But we can do that in a promising and great manner. Conservation of natural nocturnal wildlife and ecosystems. We'll hear more about that later. But this is key. 50% or more nocturnal creatures. Remember that. Safeguarding of scientific and educational opportunities such as astronomy. As Bob just pointed out, and as we heard earlier today, we have to be able to preserve the night sky for those future generations so that they can be inspired. The future scientists, the future artists, the future, just our future in general. We need to be prepared. The preservation of cultural heritage and inspiration for the arts. Here again, Van Gogh's Starry Nights, one of the most popular pictures inspired by the sky. And the increased visibility, safety, and security at night by reducing glare. We're also trying to raise awareness about curtailing light pollution and beneficial effects of doing so, as well as its solutions. We're trying to educate about the values of environmentally responsible outdoor lighting while collaborating with other organizations. We're promoting responsible legislation, public policy, and research, and as well as standards in a professionally and scientifically sound manner. And for number 5, we're going to have to wait a few slides. So we'll just go through a brief history here. In 1987, we were officially incorporated, and in 1988 is when we were recognized by the U.S. Internal Revenue Service as a nonprofit organization. This, by the way, is the same year that the Spanish government passed protecting of astronomical quality of observatories in the Canary Islands, which, as many of you know, have been host to the UNESCO Starlight Reserve programs. And 1993, the Fatal Light Awareness Program, one of the first ecological programs based on light pollution. If anyone's interested in the full timeline, I can provide you this, but I'm going to skip through a little bit in the efforts of time. The first European Symposium of the Protection of the Night Sky in 1998. We had a little bit of a gap before it picked up again. Chile and South America decreed light pollution regulation in 1998. The Czech Republic in 2002 became the first European country to enact national legislation. And then in 2005, we estimated that about 1,000 communities in the U.S. have addressed light pollution through planning and zoning. Today, we're estimating about 2,500. So just in 4 short years, that number has more than doubled. And here's number 5 here. We're seeking the specific solutions to mitigate light pollution by reducing the total amount of light in our nocturnal environment. Shielding is great, but the first thing that we need to do is find out what's necessary. That's the primary question here. You can have a ton of shielded lights and still produce sky glow. What is the required amount of light that we need? Warranting. Again, do you need that light? Controls. We've mentioned controls here. Turn the lights off when you don't need them. Occupancy sensors, that type of thing. Shielding and directionality. Again, we need to light what is required, the ground. We don't need this glaring bright light so that I can't see any of you. If I were driving, I would probably run into the first row right now. And then the consideration of spectral distribution. This is one of the key issues that we are facing today. With the oncoming revolution of LED lights, and particularly the high brightness LED lights, we're seeing higher concentrations of full range of wavelengths, so higher concentrations of blue, which increases sky glow and Rayleigh scattering. So this is something that we need to be watching as an organization and as a community. How are we doing this? Well, as you can see, volunteers are key to the success of this movement. Through IDA sections, IDA affiliates, through other organizations that I'm not familiar with that are working on this topic, through volunteers such as our board of directors who bring a wealth of knowledge to this organization and to this movement, through volunteers such as yourselves who are going out, you're spreading the word that you'll be taking from this conference to your politicians, to your city planning officials. We're doing this through policy. We're doing this through education outreach, and we're doing this through an increase in technical knowledge. So just a brief on our policy. Creating ordinances. Okay. Working with places to certify. Awarding places of significance. We have new offices. You'll hear later from our DC office, who's working on congressional briefings for us in the U.S. We will have a national light pollution law. We're working on coalition building, which is the primary action of our organization. We really need to work with other organizations that can get our message out there. And then we also have continued outreach efforts, both in the Pacific Rim and here in Europe. Through education outreach, our sections and affiliates, I cannot say enough about our sections. They are the lifeblood of our organization. They are the volunteers. We have brand new traveling displays, brochures, and practical guides, and we're working on translating them. We have a few of the first version French available with us today, but we also have Chinese, Japanese, and Spanish in the works. Through classroom materials, bringing this down to the elementary grades, getting people excited about viewing the stars at an early age is essential in this mission. Of course, the International Year of Astronomy. And then we've been working very hard at trade shows to get the word out about quality outdoor lighting, about environmentally responsible outdoor lighting. Here's just a quick example of one of the downloadable free posters that you can have. And as you can see, it's very text minimal, so if you want to translate it, it's very easy to do. One of the internal brochures, print them off, fold them up, hand them out to people. Education outreach. We've recently redesigned our website. We've got the Nightscape magazine, our Night Watch. So if you're interested in finding out what's available around the world, get into our e-news program and we'll send you all of those alerts that we're receiving. Just a quick picture of our website. The technical knowledge. Again, the participation in some of the world's top lighting forums. We were recently at Light and Build in Frankfurt last year. We're planning on attending again this year. The interesting thing about last year was that almost every manufacturer in the outdoor lighting hall had a dark sky friendly line. Of course, they're still selling the old stuff, and we won't say what that really is, but they all had a dark sky friendly line. We just need to build the demand for them to stop selling the bad stuff and boost the good stuff. We recently participated in the Clinton Climate Initiative's C40 Large Cities Climate Summit in Seoul, South Korea. One of our board members was there talking on this very issue to the top 40 cities in the world about light pollution. And the response was fantastic. They were all very interested in curbing it. We've worked with test facilities, and then we're increasing our visibility through the Fixture Seal of Approval program and participation in the lighting community. Simple actions work. We've seen sports lighting pictures. This is a sports lighting facility here in Tucson, Arizona. Skipped ahead of me. Sports lighting facility in Tucson, Arizona that's using cutoff fixtures. This is one that hasn't been retrofitted yet. Check out the difference there. Simple actions work. This is just a pineapple juice can on top of an incandescent light. They were actually able to reduce the wattage in that lamp. It doesn't like me. And it's illuminated the steps better than the bare bulb without the glare. People say, I can't get a pretty fixture. Check these out. These are gorgeous, dark sky friendly, and they increase the ambiance of the location. A historical fixture that's full cutoff, dark sky friendly. This is in Germany. Here we have a picture that everybody is looking for efficiency these days. Well, we have a saying, a solar-powered glare bomb is still a glare bomb. Efficiency is not everything. It has to also be efficiently lit. Some good design. We've been talking about LEDs. There's some horrible design there, but there's also some wonderful full cutoff fixtures. And notice in this one how there's very little glare coming off of this LED. Check out this one. How much more glare. This is the same fixture by the same manufacturer, and you can tell two different colors. So we're really trying to watch the production that's going on right now. One of the test facilities that we're taking part in Anchorage, Alaska. Again, you can see the difference in this light versus the lights down the street. Residents preferred the more amber glow to the bright white. They absolutely hated this fixture. And then there's some of the not so efficient fixtures that are available in terms of LEDs. This is our fixture seal of approval program. We've worked with over nearly 100 companies to certify dark sky friendly fixtures. This computer is not liking me right now. If you see this on it, it means it's gone through photometric testing by our staff. Just another example of a interesting LED fixture. This is a great fixture from the industry. They're responding to the need for yellow and white light. People say we want the white light to be able to see. Well, fine, use it until 10 o'clock at night and then switch over to an amber color. And then the device, and I have like 2 more slides. So the OCAS system here is an obstacle collision system. So the towers, when a plane comes overhead, it recognizes the radio signal, turns on, and then when the plane leaves, it turns off again. No light at night. Aftermarket controls are another thing that's coming up. And so is the solution to light pollution to turn it all off? Not necessary if it's done correctly. This is the view from Oro Valley, which is a suburb of North Tucson in 2007. And so in response to the question earlier, is it the end of night? No, the night's just begun. If you have any questions, there's our contact information.
Time for questions. We do have time for questions. Are there any in the audience now? Gagging for coffee, I know. One question. Oh, sorry, I couldn't see you with the light. Sure. That's education, I think. What is aesthetically pleasing is Emperor's New Clothes sometimes. Any other points? Okay. Well, if there are no more points, thank you once again, Kim.